none of the countries in Europe existed. And yet every Scandinavian schoolboy, Russian schoolboy, English schoolboy can claim Greece as part of his intellectual heritage. When the Egyptian intellectual miracle existed, it existed in a valley 4,000 miles long, extending into Africa, and at least 16 African countries existed then under different names, but they did exist. And the people who would later be the major population of the country called Egypt, that the Greeks called Egypt, did exist. And they had no relationship with any other people in the world except African people. And there's no way the early people called Egyptians could have been anything other than African people, inasmuch as they had no relationship with any other people. Now, 3,000 years would pass before the people of Western Asia would have a relationship with them, and when they began to have relationship, that relationship was bad. Nobody ever did African people any favor. Everybody ever came into Africa came in to take something. And African people don't owe anybody anything. Now, if you understood this, maybe we could free ourselves. We are totally an unobligated people. We don't owe anybody anything anywhere, left or right. Everybody that has come among us have come among us to exploit us, and they have exploited us successfully. Now, let us begin at the beginning, because African people stood alone at the beginning of the world and started humanity, and started a thing as basic as tool making, as basic as making a bucket, a basket, as basic as learning how to use fire, how to bring down animals. Started all of this in the area to the south. When we look at and visualize a map of Africa, you have to visualize the Nile River and realize that that river is like the womb of a woman, and out of this womb came a series of children. Let us not call it civilization. White people have so misused the word civilization until the word has lost its meaning. Let us call it a culture. Came a series of cultures that developed and moved down that river, a great cultural highway, to establish a way of life and to create a way of life, religions and history that is going to be so rich that mankind will steal from them from then on. And the rape of the culture of that river will change the world for all times to come. Now, when a people are lost from their cultural moorings, living in another people's country, or living in a country ruled over by another people, worshiping a God chosen for them by another people, worshiping a God that don't look like them, wearing clothes not of their design, living in a culture that don't belong to them. They live with warped souls and a lack of meaning. This summer in West Africa, I had to remind some of the people with me, so you have been here 2 weeks now. You haven't seen any children fighting. You haven't heard anybody call anybody a bitch. You haven't heard the word MF all the time you've been here. You haven't seen friction among people. And this is because these Africans are in the cultural incubator that created them. In the United States, you are in conflict. You are in conflict, and the people that brought you here are in conflict. Because this container does not fit your soul. It does not fit the soul of the ones who brought you here. It does not fit your soul. You will never be at peace in an alien land where you must compete for everything. You must compete for your bread, must compete for your apartment, must compete for your man, must compete for your woman, compete for your water. Everything you've got to compete with somebody for. Nothing comes automatically. Nothing is built into the culture itself. You came out of a culture where certain things are assured by virtue of coming out of the culture. And you didn't have to fight for them. Because if you obey the laws that govern the culture, the material resources of the culture, based on your need, came to you automatically. These were things of a socialist nature that existed in a culture not only before Karl Marx was born, but before Europe was born. This is why the African states trying to be communists are making a mistake, and this is why all of them will fail. Because the European concept of communism is alien to the soul of Africa. You take the African concept, and it's going to work. Because it was there all along. Because it's a concept that's based on the African culture, in the African indigenous religion, in the African basic humanity. When you take this artificial Western junk, that you're going to build something on it, you're in trouble. Because nothing builds on it. You try to build a house on sand. The foundation is not there. The cultural foundation is not there. Now I realize in a lecture like this, people will hear what you did not say and will stubbornly refuse to understand what you did say.